Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and if you haven't been following what's been going on the internet for the last couple days, there apparently could potentially be a sex trafficking ring that is about to be busted, a potential sex trafficking ring that does involve minors. Now, if you've been following the last couple days, a online website, a marketplace known as Wayfair, has kind of been thrown under the gun right now, and has been brought up into question as to some of the questionable listings on their website, and how they may be attributed to people that have gone missing, people that may potentially be involved in a sex trafficking, a child trafficking rabbit hole. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lot to cover. Sit back, relax. I gave you the primer. Let's get into where this started. Now, the origin point to this conspiracy lies at Reddit. Reddit/conspiracy, r/conspiracy. If you haven't been on this Reddit board, I actually frequented a fair bit, and this was one of the top posts, obviously. So we'll just give it a quick read. Now, this is by Princess Peach 1987, who's actually been questioned by a couple news agencies about this. Let's see what this initial post is. Is it possible Wayfair involved in human trafficking with their WFX utility collection? Or are they just extremely overpriced cabinets? Note the names of the cabinets, right? So they've got names like Neria storage cabinet, Yaritza storage cabinet, Samia 5-shelf storage, and Alvia storage cabinet, right? Now, this makes me sick to my stomach if it's true. So they ended it off saying, if it's true. Now, I've seen a lot of people run this off like this is some blatant accusation to Wayfair, when clearly it isn't. They're just saying, if it's true, right? That's the important aspect to go for. So I just wanted to like clarify that for the internet, you know, just because I've seen conflicting information. Now, because it got traction on Reddit, I do the important thing, and I actually check with a lot of old 4chan threads and just see if this also popped up there as well. Usually when a conspiracy pops up on 4chan, part of it can also be they just want to start some online movement and get a lot of people who may not be attributed to image board culture onto the meme as well. Make something viral and draw attention to it, and that's really the 4chan way. And I got some actual postings. So here's a couple 4chan postings we'll read through, right? So here they've made a poster list for a bunch of overpriced items, so such as these Duret zodiac sign astrological constellation personalized throw pillow, right? So they've mentioned it that it's like $10,000. We'll actually look at it a fair bit. They looked at a bunch of missing persons information. A lot of this I'm actually going to be blurring out because they are minors, and I'm not going to just like throw that into the video. So I'm going to do my due diligence to watch for that. There's also one other situation too, right? So they got the Samia 5-shelf storage cabinet, which was $13,000, right? Now, this victim that was just named in this situation had actually come out publicly on Facebook Live to debunk this rumor. Now, she was visibly upset, and I'm only going to play a small excerpt of it just to give her the respect she needs, because, quite frankly, she actually came out saying that she wasn't ever missing, she wasn't thrown into this mix, and people were just coming at her because of her name linked to some cabinet.
No, I'm mad because, first of all, first of all, I tell him that I wasn't missing. That's why I'm mad. I tell him I wasn't missing, first of all. And second of all, he talking about it was going around in the group chat. And if that was true and I'm missing, and then he gonna put his little, why is your caption even that? That don't even make sense. If you posting motherfuckers who actually missing, you trying to get motherfuckers to share the shit, why are y'all sharing some shit who this don't even know that if it's really true or not? What are y'all talking about? Y'all all sound stupid talking about why am I mad? Because I'm not missing. Fuck out of here. Fuck. Let me go get a picture of you, bitch, and say you missing, and then put a little motherfucking cabinet next to it and have everybody share that shit. Let's see how you feel. Fuck out of here. Weird as fuck.
To understand, her statement alone shuts the entire human trafficking ring almost down to a halt. She's not missing, people just blew it out of proportion and went after this woman. Now, according to her, she was in the hospital admitted for COVID-19, and she just came out during this entire ordeal, so give her the love and respect that she needs after surviving something like that. They even here linked something called the Yaritza storage cabinet to a woman named Yaritza. I don't know if I'll blur or blank out the last names, but they were missing right now since 2020, by the way, literally last month. and their age is currently 16. So some of these cases are actually very fresh individuals that have been missing. You wouldn't even classify them close to a cold case. Some of them have been missing for quite some time, but there are some cases where people who were reported as missing or being trafficked were actually found not too long ago. We'll take a look at all of it. Let's just go through. Now, of course, Wayfair has been accused of human trafficking after selling furniture, cheap pillows for thousands of dollars, disproportionate to the normal price of these items. Right? Thoughts, actual human trafficking. Well, you can see a lot of the community on 4chan is just like Reddit cringe or fuck off spammer, right? You know, you just got regular 4chan love, right? Here's another posting over here where they actually went a little above and beyond and started to correlate the pricing, so like $13,000, somehow turn it in to like actual coordinates, a longitude, latitude, and try to figure out a possible trafficking route. So you can see here, like on the coast of like Mauritania, all the way down to like Sierra Leone, Guinea, Mali, all these areas. So they tried to like figure this out a little bit. And over here, you can see the reaction is take your meds, schizo. Now, mainstream articles picked up on this stuff like crazy. You've got sites like Gizmodo, popculture.com. These are just one of many websites that picked up this obvious, evolving, and very viral topic, right? Where they're also trying to get to the bottom of the situation. And most of what I've said is stuff that they've also mentioned too. Like this is just mentioned off of conspiracy theory boards. And a lot of the evidence appears to just be circumstantial, if anything. It's very coincidental, yes, but there's just no hard proof to anything. Now, you also have a massive community of individuals who've been posting their findings on the various websites, notably Wayfair.com, right? So here's one from MarkSol84, who actually mentioned that this is manufactured wood, and it's in the About the Shop part, it says no passport required. So here they have a two-piece cactus wall set for $100,000. Again, I don't know if this is true or not, because I have to refresh this on my device just to see if this is true. Could be an edited website, but then again, they're capturing it on iOS. So I don't think they were really going through the effort of doing it. Why would somebody do it? That's, you know, it's a little too pessimistic to think that way, but that's a $100,000 cactus set. Very expensive. Almost seems like a placeholder price you would see on like anything that wasn't released or you weren't intended to buy. But it's interesting, all right? If you go to the About section, we're going to find some like really, really weird mentions. So here it is, About the Shop. With bold old world influence, Bungalow Rose lends a faraway feel to any space. No passport required. I almost feel like this is some tongue-in-cheek reference or whatever to like the fact that you don't have to travel outside the world to get a little piece of the world to your house. But then again, why would they just throw in no passport required? Just seems weird to me. Weird word of choice. I don't know what they're going for. Is it somebody outside buying it? I don't know. That's actually pretty goddamn shady. Now, even on their other websites, if you go to Wayfair, they actually have an entire group called, just an entire section of websites where they actually divide up the thematics of what they're selling by their website. So you can see like Wayfair, everything home for every budget. All right, even the $100,000 cactus sets, sure. And then you've got All Modern. We're currently on All Modern looking at a TV stand that is $2,969 US dollars, by the way. 20% off. I don't know how this is necessarily worth that extensive price. Nowhere do they mention it. I mean, they do say natural wood. Maybe it is. I have no idea. I don't know why it's worth that much. Definitely doesn't seem like it should be. But yeah, it's just one of their many devices, like country of origin China. You know, they definitely manufactured this for like pennies on the dollar, and they're selling it for this crazy massive markup. And again, I think it's just one of the numerous things that this website is kind of known for. They're just known for like crazy high markups, if anything. Now, going to their website now, I tried looking up the Yaritza cabinet that they mentioned in the Reddit post, and I couldn't find anything. Now, they've actually been removing and getting rid of a lot of these massive, massive weird, like highly priced items. However, if you do look up Yaritza, for instance, right, just Yaritza on its own, you can still see that they're selling a bunch of items with the Yaritza branding. So they're selling you pillows for like 95 bucks, $899 for like a coffee table set, which, yeah, that makes sense. But if you go to price high to low, they've actually kind of eliminated a lot of the products that were really, really highly priced. So over the last couple days, this website has been pretty much clearing house. And they've tried to basically make it appear that it's not, you know, this massive issue or whatever. But we'll get more into it. Now here you can see somebody by the name of AdZarimX. Y'all, this Wayfair human trafficking thing is crazy. Look at this. There are 2 pillows, shower curtains that are the exact same, but one is $100 and the other is $10K. The $10K one is named after the same thing as a black girl missing in Michigan. So let's look at it real quick. They've got a $9,999 throw pillow, which is the Duplessis Zodiac Sign Astrological Constellation Personalized Throw Pillow. So massively wild price, right? And then you can look around. They've actually linked it to this girl. Duplessis was last seen by family members on Thursday while taking the garbage out at her Southfield home, right? So they mentioned this one girl that was missing, this 13-year-old girl. Very, very damning and freaky. So I want to do my own fact checking, right? Like I want to actually see what they were doing. So I went to their website and I found this blue Duplessis Zodiac Sign Astrological Constellation Personalized Throw Pillow. So you can see that it's actually just $32.49, right? So you might be like, wow, okay, maybe that person was lying. No, they weren't. Because if you just go to the Wayback Machine, the same URL, July 10, 2020, this same product, you can tell by this part number, right? Like just compare the part numbers real quick. These part numbers, okay, this is 10 grand. So they actually just did they changed the price. They completely changed it. It was the Duplessis Zodiac Sign, all right? They even changed the title of it to the Blue Duplessis Zodiac Sign Astrological Constellation. So at one point, you can even tell by the SKU, all right, the actual product SKU number, that they completely changed their website. Again, kind of shady that they did that. Why the hell it was like this in the first place, I have no idea. 10 grand throw pillow? Does that look like it's worth 10 grand? No, it doesn't. And now to understand this girl that was missing, who was this 13-year-old girl that was missing in Michigan, right? Who they named that now, Duplessis, the girl that they named that throw pillow after, right? Apparently the link that people had made, right? To the last name and this girl or whatever in the actual product. This girl, thankfully, who was 13 years old at the time of her being missing, was actually found, all right? So here you can see like there is a Click on Detroit, like WDIV, like a local news report on her being missing, right? Now, if you go even further than that, the family that was involved with the situation, we have, you know, the girl's name. My father-in-law's with her right now. Thank you for all the prayers and posts. So she was thankfully found, as far as I can tell. So the people that have been reported as missing in this situation, all right, by a lot of these conspiracy threads, some of these cases have actually been resolved as far back as like 2017 or something, or like months back. So there's just a lot of discrepancies to take note of when it comes to who's reported missing and who isn't. Now, one of the other things that people mention is if you take the SKU numbers, right, and you drop them into Yandex, which is a Russian Google search engine, you're supposed to find like women being like, you know, like, or just like photos of women, or just like completely off the, like just unrelated material. I've done my own checking, and every time I've entered SKUs into like Google or anything of the sort, or just Yandex in general, yeah, the actual Wayfair trafficking conspiracy shows up as a third result, but just in the images alone, you just get pictures of watches, motors, hard drives, and like computer peripherals. So a lot of it just comes down to these images are being brought up by other dealers, other retailers, and this is just like similar SKU numbers to those other sellers as well too. So that as far as I can tell is relatively debunked. So what is the actual website themselves? What did Wayfair say? What was their actual response to all of it? Well, obviously they denied it, okay? And this is one of those like stupid but necessary responses, because I mean, when you're asked if you participate in human trafficking, what's the website gonna say? Either they're gonna say, oh yeah, absolutely, you caught us, hands up, you got us. Or is it going to be, no, we don't do it? Obviously, they're going to tell you not to. Now, conspiracy theorists or people who already have their mind made up, they're probably going to go with whatever they want to go with. They've already made their mind. Now, here I'm going to read one of their responses, right? So here is Fox Business, who mentioned these 4 storage cabinets, right, in the Reddit conspiracy post. Naraya, Yaritza, Samaya, and Alvia, ranging in price between $12,699 to $14,499. Recognizing that the photos and descriptions provided by the supplier did not adequately explain the high price point, we have temporarily removed the products from site to rename them and to provide a more in-depth description and photo that accurately depict the product to clarify the price point. This is one of their spokespeople, so they just removed the products right there wholesale. But then again, why were they there to begin with? Because it just raises a million more questions. Why did this have to happen in the first place? I mean, it's just weird to me. Now, even Snopes immediately, as soon as this came out, immediately published their article on this. Is Wayfair trafficking children via overpriced items? They immediately gave it a false rating. Cool, fine and dandy. I'm not going to say that it's there's nothing wrong with that. They made a very extensive look into a lot of tweets, a lot of the websites, weird pricing situations, and just sort of brought this article to light and sort of discussed why this isn't necessarily true. Now, it's to a point where even Snopes was called out. This is completely unrelated to the video that I'm making right now, but Jenna Jameson, who's a very prominent ex-porn star, actually ended up saying, #Wayfair is a paid advertiser of Snopes. To which I just simply have to ask, is there an advertiser listing I can find or something? Because I tried to look for this and I just couldn't find it. I don't know. I'm not saying Jenna Jameson's wrong. That's just a hell of a claim to be making. Now, I could not find any sort of like mention on the Snopes article at the time of recording that where it was where they disclosed this information. So maybe there is a conflict of interest, maybe there isn't. I couldn't find it, but it's these kind of tweets from like celebrities like Jenna Jameson which just sort of feed into this like 4chan Reddit conspiracy theory stuff when clearly there's no direct evidence linking any of this. It's actually kind of harmful. Now, to understand what we've seen so far, okay, we looked at the origins of this conspiracy, Reddit, 4chan, whatever. We looked at a lot of the evidence that people were throwing out. A lot of people had mentioned weird postings such as cactus sets being sold for $100,000 that apparently mentioned passports. We looked at situations where unique names were mentioned, all right? Like very unique, uncommon names were attributed to items that were very highly priced. Now, in the world of retail, I've always noticed, and this is from my experience, there are a lot of placeholder items. There are a lot of items put on websites that are overly priced or whatever. In this case, you have just a weird range of coincidences popping up. Now, I'm not immediately going to jump onto the fact that this is a child trafficking hole to get into. That's a very, very bold claim to make. And unless you are able to audit the financial transactions of Wayfair, unless you're law enforcement that have the ability to get into Wayfair and properly assess, you cannot make that claim out there. Now, to understand, there are hundreds of thousands of people that go missing every year. If you look over here, this is namus.gov. This is a site that works with the Department of Justice in the United States, right? This is a tool that's used by medical practitioners, medical examiners, coroners, law enforcement agencies, and even families of missing individuals. This is a website and database and tool set used to track down and help assist in missing persons cases. Now, in the United States alone, all right, we're talking hundreds of thousands of people go missing every year. 600,000 to almost 1 million, or maybe even more than that, go missing every year, right? And the reality of it is, while a good chunk of them do eventually end up being found, more so within like 48, 72 hours at times, there are a lot of cases in the United States where people who have gone missing for over a year just become a cold case. The harsh reality of a missing person's case is literally down to how many hours it takes, right? Like if you go past the 24, 48 hour mark, the chances of finding someone start dropping very heavily to the point where they're almost minimal. Once you hit like a 72 hour mark of people going missing, the chances of finding them are very minimal. And that's just one of the things with missing persons cases that are just absolutely damning to get into. Now, even going further than that, all right, there's obviously going to be names, all right, even obscure names that are tossed into the situation. You might even be able to find a missing Mutahar, as uncommon as my name is, when you have this large of a data set to deal with that have gone missing, right? That's something that I'm going to throw out there. So the fact that this website has used names that, sure, are a little uncommon. Like, I have not personally seen names like Samia, names like Yaritza myself, but I'm not going to say that there aren't people in the world that don't have the names. Obviously they do. And is there a reason that this website would be using that name? Sure. Now, where you get into the weird aspect of it is, why are they using those names? Why were those names so easily linked to missing persons cases? And why were those products that they were selling so highly priced, given the fact that they cost maybe 1/100th of the price to even manufacture? So that's one of the strongest arguments to go for. It's a strong range of coincidences, but ultimately the evidence is quite circumstantial. Unless you have hard receipts for this kind of stuff, it's very difficult to link just highly priced items to a child sex trafficking rabbit hole. That's one of the things you kind of have to go for, right? So now that we've got to the end of this video pretty much, let's rewind back to the beginning and just look at this r/conspiracy post once again. Now, I've been on this Reddit board for years at this point, and I know for a fact that on this board there's a lot of rabbit holes that get posted, right? Some of them are very deep, some of them end up, you know, being very, very minimal. And it's just one of those things where people throw it up and we all as a community start diving into it or whatever. Now, Princess Peach, who made this initial post, I'm not saying that this person outright accused any of this stuff. They just made a simple assessment as to looking at why these $200 storage cabinets were costing this massive amount of cash. Now, to do that, you have to sort of understand the economy of human trafficking, right? To me, as far as I know, there is one business that's bigger than just human sex trafficking, and that's the drug industry. We're talking about the industry where $400 billion, I think, are traded internationally, black market money, when it comes to selling illegal drugs. And I don't even think we're getting into things like opioids or like big pharma getting involved in any of this in some shady way. No, we're just talking about illegal drugs, right? But if you look at the human trafficking situation, Forbes made a pretty decent article talking about the $150 billion business of human trafficking. And I'm sure that even though this article was in 2020, that number may be just slightly more conservative. People go missing every year, and the sex trafficking trade is huge internationally. You'd be surprised at how women get abducted easily in countries like mine, Canada, and then immediately those women are shipped overseas in a couple days to someone else, and they never find their way back. You know, we've seen this stuff in movies all the time, but it's all too real. Human sex trafficking exists, and it's why I treat this video very seriously. To me, I want to stop any case of human sex trafficking, but I want to treat this the right way, right? Now, is Wayfair guilty of any of this? Again, no receipts in any of this situation, but just applying some basic logic to this, if these children had went missing, right, and they were involved in a sex trafficking rabbit hole, God forbid, why would these sites like Wayfair, if they were complicit, use the actual name of the child that had gone missing on a website and then sell them that way? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, you know what I mean? Like, none of that makes any sense to me. To me, that's what shows that it's a coincidence. Nobody's going to be the ballsy enough to keep full-on evidence lying up on their website. If these children were missing and they were thrown into a sex trafficking rabbit hole, the first thing you would do is strip them of their identity, their name. You would pretty much give them a goddamn number, because the moment you keep their identities intact, that's a vital piece of evidence. That's something that will tie them back to where they were missing. Even when you sell these people to like other individuals, you're not going to give them a name. You're not going to give them anything. You're not even going to give them a link to you. From what I'm gathering over here, even if they were complicit, let's say that these storage cabinets were real, do you honestly believe that they would be willing to accept payment from like credit card companies, from bank agencies, companies, banking groups that would keep paper trails for over 5 years? 5 years at the minimum, at least in Canada, when it comes to record keeping of financial transactions. This is absolutely playing with fire. If this was a global sex trade industry, this wouldn't even be done on the dark web. This wouldn't even be done in places that you would stumble upon. This would be done through organized criminal cartels, super cartels that organize and have entire networks dedicated to the shit to begin with. And that's why, from a personal level, from my assessment, I don't simply jump onto the Wayfair rabbit hole, because to me, there's a lot of evidence that kind of leads against the idea of it being a trafficking group. Do I think Wayfair is a sex trafficking hub? No. You need a little bit more evidence than just what is circumstantially presented. And even the evidence that is presented, some of it is also debunked. Some of the cases, like we just talked about, the Duplessis case, was actually resolved very quickly, and that's a case no longer attributed to this trafficking situation that could occur. So ladies and gentlemen, that's just my video on it, my assessment on it. Sorry if I've been way too off the cuff. Sorry if I went off on tangents. There's just a lot to cover when it comes to this kind of stuff. But hopefully this is comprehensive enough to sort of let you form your own opinion, and hopefully to help me bring my opinion across too. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it. If you dislike it, I am